Hi everybody, it's Akumi-san. Hello, hello. I'm here to let you guys know that chapter 40, that is due to come out on the 6th, is going to be delayed. I'm really sorry. Situation normal. In general, I have a family thing that I'm going to, so I'm going to be out of town for the entire weekend. And due to me being out of town, I've been working for a long stretch of days in a row, and I have trouble recording on days that I work because my voice does this. So, problems with that. I apologize about that, but I'm actually doing a video because I got a message from one of you wonderful listeners, and I thought it was kind of interesting. It was a question that I thought was kind of fun, and I personally love getting little tidbits from people that I follow or whatever, just, like a fanfic author or like a manga author or a director or a podfic reader or something, whatever. I enjoy getting information and their take on things, and it's kind of fun. So I thought I would actually answer this publicly. I really hope that's okay. I'm really sorry. So I will be posting this video and answering the question, which the question that this person sent me was, I'm curious, which voice do you like best? Is the easiest / hardest to do? Your favorite / least favorite? And did those change since the beginning of the podfic? So I'm going to be answering all of that about my favorite voices that I do. And I hope you all enjoy. It's going to be a very long video, and it's just going to be that. So yeah, enjoy or not. You can always skip this. This is superfluous. The point is I'm delaying the podfic. So I'm actually going to answer the last question first because it's the easiest, and I'm just going to get it kind of out of the way. If my favorites and least favorites and all of that have changed since the beginning of the podfic, the truthful answer is probably. And do I remember? No, sorry. Mostly because I've been doing this since 2013, which is kind of scary to think about. But I keep in mind I was reading this aloud to my best friend, and I've just been doing it for so long. Things have evolved. I was into Under These Scars aloud with her in 2014 or something, so that's been 3 years, and at this point I've already had favorite voices and this and that, and I've kind of gone over this multiple times, and they've probably changed. Honestly, the most accurate statement of that would be, with the addition of new characters, yes, that has changed. Yes. I don't know how often. I'm sure it has. I mean, for example, in chapter 1 of Break to Breathe, pretty certain it's just the two of them off the top of my head. So my favorite would have been Neji, and my least favorite would have been Shikamaru, which is entirely inaccurate because Shikamaru was like really high up towards the top now, but at the time between two is one or the other. So it's definitely changed, especially with any addition of new characters. So yes, and I don't know how much. Sorry. So starting back from the top, which voice do I like the best? I'm going with the interpretation of which do I enjoy listening to on my own, just in general. Not necessarily my favorite to voice, my favorite to get into character of, whatever. What is my favorite that I've done? I really like my Naruto voice. Sorry. It's super lame, and it's so dumb, but I get a giant kick out of it, and I'm kind of a ridiculous person, clearly, because I do his voice ridiculously. As I said in a comment at one point, he started as a joke. My best friend and she dealt with me trying to come up with a voice for him that was marginally serious. I couldn't stick with one. I couldn't remember it, and then I didn't like it, and it just didn't work in the nonsense that he was doing. So I kept on messing around with that, and finally I was like, I'm gonna make her laugh, and then I just did the believe it voice, and it stuck, clearly, and the two of us laughed our asses off, and then kept doing it because it worked. And I've made myself laugh a couple of times when I'm editing my stuff, so I think it's enjoyable. And also, my favorite and the first audio effect that I did was the Shadow Clone Jutsu chorus of Naruto voices. And it's lame and it's cheesy and I get kind of embarrassed every time I do it, but I really like it and it does kind of make me giggle. So, Naruto is probably the voice I like the best. I also, as kind of like a side note, I kind of also like Hibari. Which, I mean, my interpretation of him was not originally that, but again, he kind of started as a joke as well. Like, nearly exactly the way that Naruto was. Finally, my best friend was like, dude, you have a Thor voice, from back in the day when I used to read other fan fiction to her. So I have a Thor voice, and just use your Thor voice and kind of edit it. So Hibari is Thor, by the way. That's not quite, but kind of. And it kind of developed my, like, interpretation of Hibari since then, too. I'm like, oh, he's so manly. And I enjoy that. I enjoy when I'm editing. I'm like, oh yes, I know it's my voice. Don't judge me too hard, but so there's that. And I understand that that's not probably anybody else's interpretation of Hibari. I apologize about that. It's something just that I enjoy, though. So one of my personal voices that I like the best. So yeah, as far as my favorite voice to do, I love Neji. I don't care. I understand that oftentimes my voice isn't cooperating and I get raspy and gravelly, or I can't capture quite the right emotion, and it's just not the same from the beginning, which does make me really sad and kind of hurts my heart just a little bit. But I don't care. Because characters like that are some of my favorites anyways, just in general. When I'm watching a TV show or an anime or something like that, I'm just characters that are, I'm too cool for any of you. I'm very down with all of your shenanigans. Your nonsense does not interest me, and I am definitely better than all of you. I love characters like that. I also enjoy acting or getting into character or voicing them. Why? Because it feels cooler than feeling cooler and knowing you're cooler than anybody else. That's really fun. Also, it's kind of this really fun challenge that I kind of love and just go for. Adding emotion and adding sadness, despair, just shock, anger, all of these emotions to a voice that's not supposed to have emotion, and making it still sound like him. It's really, really fun for me. Not to mention unemotional voices with some sexy sounds and sexy noises. That's fun too. Not gonna lie. So it's just a challenge that I love to rise to, and maybe I don't meet myself every time, but God, I really do love voicing Neji. It's my favorite to voice. As far as the easiest voice goes, is one of them is Hinata. Hinata is ridiculously easy. I have hardly any editing to do because I am by nature an apologetic person. I don't know if you've noticed, but I frequently apologize for being late to you guys. I'm really sorry, like I'm doing just now. I do this all the time. So apologizing is not, that's a thing I do very easily. Compulsively. That's embarrassing. I also have a really high voice. So this was the voice that I was talking in to my customers at work, and it was very embarrassing, and da 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 da. So this is my head voice when I have to save my voice, and then just make it breathier and more apologetic. And it's really, really easy to do. It's literally my natural vocal range, and it's my natural way of being, state of being. So it's literally just alright, and we're doing Hinata. That's really easy. I don't have to get into character. I don't have to get into character. All I have to do is look at the words and just say them, because they're really, really easy. Hinata, minor editing, hardly any takes at all. Like, I can just get a line out and just be like, okay, that's fine. The other easiest is probably actually Shikamaru. and I do love doing Shikamaru. Do not take to heart that he was my least favorite. Between the two, with Neji being my first favorite, but no, he's actually really, really easy to do too, because I've discovered that Shikamaru's voice exists in the range of my whiny voice. No, I don't wanna. And I don't whine a lot. What gave you that impression? But it's a very easy voice to access. And also when my voice is scratchy, it's not nearly as bad. I can still get into it, kind of, but then it gets ridiculously scratchy. But it's just a really really easy voice to access. It's also really easy to play put upon, because that's usually just kind of, that's the motivation I come up with for Shikamaru, and just easily getting into that. So put upon, and I can add sighing, and just, oh my god, nothing is easier than laziness, I guess. So it's just kind of, it's something that's super duper easy to slip into. So Shikamaru is super easy. Adding emotion to it's just fun, and it's not much of a challenge. Yelling and being angry kind of is, because I don't know if you've noticed, but I have a high-pitched voice, and it can sound very pitchy and very girly and very like too nasally, too much. So that can be tough. Thank goodness he doesn't yell too much. Whatever. So, yeah, those two are probably the easiest. Definitely the easiest. As far as my least favorite voice goes, I do not like voicing Tsunade. Tsunade, I can't find the proper placement, first of all. I can't decide on a placement, so I kind of go with a neutral voice, because I do have a couple neutral voiced characters. Sakura is a neutral voice, so she's essentially my voice. I can't actually think of anybody else, but Sakura's a neutral voice. I think Ino is, but I just make her pitchier, or like more lilty. I go kind of like that with, I guess I kind of go like that with Tsunade, because I can't figure out enough of a character, a grasp for her to give her a proper placement. And not only can I not grasp her character enough to give her a proper placement in my vocal area, I also can't decide on a motivation. I kind of go with bossy and authoritative, maybe is more accurate, and that doesn't really create much either. So she's just not very easy to do at all. And every time I have to go back to that chapter that she shows up and she talks, and Shizune is also quite difficult. I literally have to listen to them every single time and go, okay, that's what I did, and then hope for the best. So that flashback that I did in whatever chapter that was, oh my god, that was terrible, so hard. So Tsunade, absolute least favorite character to voice. I'm absolute least favorite character, and that's including all of the characters that show up in like Under These Scars. I'm pretty sure she's my least favorite. I'm gonna eat my words later. Whatever. As far as the hardest to voice goes, really quickly, Kiba's pretty dang hard. Why? I can talk like him, no problem. That's actually kind of the way I talk. I talk like that all the time. It's kind of like a narration style. Oh my gosh, his narration is really fun to do too, because again, it's very in character for me. I know that I apologize a lot, but I also like to talk big and talk loud and talk just kind of, yeah, whatever, like all the time. This is how I talk to people at work, by the way. Just so you have a little bit of insight into Akumi-san's work persona. Dress like this, work like this, talk like this, all this stuff. But I don't know if you've noticed, I have a higher pitched voice. So, same problem with Shikamaru yelling is when I talk in that kind of a voice, it gets really nasally and kind of high. Yeah, it's miserable. So I frequently will like see the whatever that's called in the audio edit or the audio program, which by the way I don't know anything about audio editing except what I learned from doing this. Just get giant and pitchy, and it freaks me out. And so I have to do 1,000 takes of his, and only one of them is even marginally okay. And it just, he's really hard. But probably the hardest and the most upsetting, because they're as hard as they are going along with the I need to choose my placement based on the character grasping that I have, and I have to choose my motivation. So I have a placement in my voice that is considered lazy men. So I have 5 people who are in that. 5. 2 of which don't show up much. Shikamaru is one of them, and he shows up a lot, but he is also placed in a different spot. He is not lazy older man. He is lazy guy. So he is a little higher and more in my head. The other 4 are more deeper and in my chest. So I literally have 4 men who are in exactly the same place, and I kind of have a voice kind of going with them as I kind of weirdly get into vocal character. So I literally have to differentiate between all of them based on their motivations, and that can get really tough. So that's why it's really, really hard. They're all really hard, but I'm more upset about 2 of them. So Shikaku is actually one of the 4. I don't really care, it's fine. Because it's not too terribly difficult. It's literally Shikamaru, but deeper, is kind of how I go with that. Put upon and whatever. Asuma is another one I don't really mind. It's not a big deal. I go with the motivation of lazy. I am most upset that Kakashi and Genma are 2 of the hardest voices to do. And it just makes me cry. Especially since they have extensive scenes together. Not only, without going into detail. Killer. So I have to literally differentiate between the 2 of them based on their motivations, and so that's really tough. I love them. So when they show up, I get really excited. I'm like, oh my god, I love voicing them, but it's really hard to voice them. Motivations for funsies of those 2 is bored and despair. It's very fun. I don't know. Anyways, excuse me. I got into my own little thoughts. So that's all she wrote. Whatever. So that is best, easiest, hardest, least favorite. I think that covers all of them, I hope. Anyways, I thought it was kind of a fun question. I really hope that you guys enjoyed my little mess video to you guys. I will probably, by the way, I need to get a new webcam. I apologize about the bad quality. This and that. I might speak to you guys more. Feel free to send me more messages. I love this. Listener, you know who you are for sending me this message. I loved it. It made me really happy and excited and interested in doing something like this. So if you guys want more of this, that's really cool. You can absolutely send me messages. I love them. Anything, even just, hey, I listened. I'd be like, oh, you did. Thank you. All that sort of jazz. Sorry for the really long video. It's kind of ridiculous. Also, another thing that I may do at some point, I'll have to go into more of this later, is I may do a live chapter at some point. Maybe. I don't really know how cool that would be. That would obviously be really bad quality because less editing, but hey. Anyways, so I hope you enjoyed, and if you quit 20 minutes ago, I'm okay with that too. Anyways, have an excellent rest of your week. Sorry about the delay, and I'll see you guys for the next chapter, in chapter 40, where things continue getting more complicated. The tears. Anyways, Akumi-san over and out.